Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight I'm taking a look at the Medicom MAFEX Star Wars The Force Awakens Kylo Ren. Now I have been looking forward to this figure for a while. Well, maybe looking forward to is strong words. It's more that I've been preparing myself for this release. MAFEX, it's always 50-50, you toss the dice, you don't know what you're gonna get. And I have snuck around and looked at some other reviews, and I've heard mostly good things. But finally having it in hand, it looks pretty good. There are a couple things I can see already in the package, but we'll get to that. But looking at the package, MAFEX has kind of streamlined their packaging over the years. I remember way back getting Darth Vader and thinking, well, this kind of looks like Walmart clearance packaging. But they went with the straight black here. It may be character based, it may be design. I don't know how they picked that stuff, but this one looks pretty good. We have the graphic, we have the Star Wars logo, MAFEX, Medicom, Kylo Ren. Pretty basic. Big window, you can see everything, and that's where part of my problem comes in. Apparently they closed the clamshell, or the two halves, without putting the lightsaber all the way in its supposed space. So I can already see that it's bending and kind of twisting down into the packaging. Yeah, hopefully that'll straighten out once I get this open. Pretty picture on the side. On the back, more pretty pictures. Kylo Ren's head looking much better than it actually does, but I want to get it out of the package and see it before I make any decisions there. Medicom, Disney, MAFEX, kind of a checklist it looks like. It looks like figure and head and helmet and bent-ass lightsaber. On the other side, pretty picture, Star Wars. Star Wars logo on top. On the bottom, warnings and a bunch of unreadables. It says, warning, MAFEX, need we say more? But I've been waiting long enough. I'm gonna get this open and see exactly what's going on here. Okay, and there we go, all out of the package. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this figure has some problems, but I have to admit, it's in the running for the Kylo Ren for my shelf. Sitting here fiddling with it, taking pictures, messing around. It's like I said, it has some downfalls, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. Now the sculpt itself, pretty damn amazing. It has all the little ribs up and down the sleeves. The helmet is very impressive. The color to it, the sculpt, it has all these little dings and dents in it, and then the actual details of the helmet, just nice and crisp and sharp. And then the rest of the sculpt's pretty much hidden by the robe, which takes some getting used to. I'm not going to say it's the greatest in the world. It's kind of thick, it's kind of big. Once you get it into a position that you like, it does look really good, but there still needs to be some fiddling done, and I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. I've got some plans. Paint! The figure's pretty much all black. Some of the accessories have some nice paint on them, but as far as the figure itself out of the package, the silver is what catches my eye. Up on the mask, it's just the nicest silver out of any of the Kylo Rens we've gotten. Now, like I said with the robe, that's one of the downfalls. As you can see right off the bat, it makes him look kind of fat, like he's wearing a muumuu or something. There's a wire in the hood, and it does help to get around, but it doesn't help lay down. It still gets some poofiness here, and it doesn't want to lay right in the back. I don't know if maybe I don't have enough pulled through or what's going on there. I almost wish there was a wire coming around the bottom of it. But surprisingly, it does help to make it lay down out of the way in case you want the hood down. Yeah, not bad. Out of the few Kylos I have, this is the best one with the hood down. It doesn't look odd or awkward with it down. Now, you will catch a glimpse right there of the wire sticking out of the hood. But it looks like the end has a hook kind of formed into it, and it's jutted out through the hood. I don't like that, but once I get it into a pose, it's usually behind this scarf piece. Which I forgot to mention, the sculpt on this scarf thing, very, very nice. I like the detail to it. I like how it looks ragged. It almost looks cloth until you get it in hand, and then you notice, oh, that's a rubber piece. It's pretty soft too. It flexes and gets out of the way. But yeah, like I said, that silver on the helmet, yeah, I like that. That's really nice. I don't know if somebody was eating candy while putting mine together or something. There's some purplish, pinkish plastic stuck right there. I don't know where that color came from. It doesn't really scratch off. It's kind of molded to the arm there. Now on top of the robe being kind of thick, it's not thick, it's loose. It lays over him like a potato sack. It doesn't really form fit to him. And on top of that being a problem, the belt is made big too. There's quite a bit here. Like Kylo dropped 50 pounds over the summer, but he hasn't bought new clothes yet. So if I were to do some kind of tightening to the robe, it would need to be done to the belt too. But I almost feel like they did that on purpose to leave the articulation free. Because, as we'll see in a minute, there is a huge range of movement in a lot of the parts. But before I even get to that, I'm going to pop the head off, and then the scarf comes off, and then I'm going to pop the arms off here. I'm going to slide the belt up and over, and then you can just slide the body out of the robe. Now, I wanted to do this to show you that you can't really use the body without the robe, which would have been nice, but not really a deal breaker for me. But as you can see without the robe, he's kind of puppety. Is puppety a word? I'm using it as a word. I don't care. Everything's not really connected together. And again, that's why you get that great range of movement, is because there's nothing to hinder in the way. And that's probably why the robe is huge. But without the robes in the way and stuff, you can see the leg sculpt. Really, really nice. Wrinkles all the way down. Comes down to the boot. The boot has a nice sculpt to it with the wraps, but everything's cast in the same color black. There's no distinction between cloth and leather. So yeah, with the huge robes, it doesn't really matter, but if you're stripping it down, that may be a problem. Getting it back together, not a huge deal. Just slip the robe back over, pop the arms back. Oh, no. See, I did that twice, but you want to put the belt on first. You can't go down over the hips with the belt. Well, you get down to about the knees and it gets stuck. But getting it back to about right here before we put the scarf and the head back on, you can see just how baggy the robe actually is. But if you were to bunch it back here, like fold it over, pin it, something, I think it would look better to get it a little bit more tight in the front. But going over articulation, there's a ball up at the top of the neck going into the skull, and then a ball going down into the torso. So the neck is pretty much free floating. You get forward, you get looking up, then there's swivel, you have side to side, you have forward and back. Just a great range of movement in the neck here. The shoulders, you have shift up and down all around, gets out to about right there, swivels around, and you also swivel on the ball going into the torso, so that's where your swivel comes from. Double elbow comes up pretty good, not quite all the way, but damn close. Have a ball at the wrist, you get side to side, you get swivel, and you can also set that, if you're careful, turn it around, and then you can get up and down. Great range of movement in the mid-torso. You can get shift around, forward, back. The hips shift down, so you can get a little bit taller to get more range forward. It does like to kick out to the side just a little bit. Then back, out, all the way pretty much. Also have swivel up at the hip. Double knee comes all the way up. You have swivel at the ankle, and then it's on a ball joint, back, forward. You also get some rocker with that, all on the same kind of joint, and then a little bit of toe. For accessories, you get 4 sets of hands, you get 2 fists, you get 2 grip hands for holding the lightsaber or whatever else you want to grip. You get 2 open hands, kind of at ease, and then you get 2 splayed open hands, using the force, pushing things back, whatever you want to use that for. And switching out the hands, there's no mushroom to the pegs, so it's kind of just a friction joint, kind of like the Bandai model kits. There's been a couple times that these have fallen off, but it hasn't been too awfully terrible. The loosest one is the one that was already on it in the package. The others are fairly tight. In fact, the fists are a little bit tough to get on there. I can see with how small that joint is that maybe they left the mushroom off to avoid breakage maybe. But in the long run, I feel like I'd rather have a little tightness than them just falling off, because for lightsabers, we get 3 hilts. 1 ignited, 2 unignited, but 1 has a specific purpose. Now the unignited hilt, I like the wires on it. It has the gold, it has the red, it has the silver, kind of has a black wash to it. Really, really nice paint job. The other hilt at first glance looks just like it, but it has 2 pegs on it, and that's for plugging into the belt. And it's not that great. The first time I plugged it in, it seemed okay, but now that I've plugged it in a couple times, it's just loose. It just kind of sits in there, and well, now you're not going to do it, you piece of shit. But trust me, it is loose. I'm not pulling that hard to get it back off the belt. I also don't know why they went with 2 prongs, because it can't rotate on the belt. So if you're posing it or get the leg up, there's nowhere for this to go but off. But I don't really plan on displaying him with the hilt on the belt. And then of course there's the ignited lightsaber. Really good sculpt. It looks very unstable. Like I said, mine was kind of warped in the package. I haven't gotten it straightened out all the way yet. It should straighten out once I heat it up, because it's not the softest plastic in the world. I'm afraid of pushing it too far without heat. It feels snappy. it feels kind of fragile. Now, I've heard comments that this is big, but it's not really that much bigger than the rest of them. It is a little bit, but not much. Comparing it to the model kit, it's just barely a little bit longer. Really just the point of the blade right there, and that's sharp. Don't go doing that all the time. But the hilt itself, same size. The crossguard, same size. So it's really just the blade length itself. Now the figure arch, you knew it was going to be bigger. It's just, that's the way it comes down. Figure arch runs a little small when it comes to scale, and the lightsaber's no different. The hilt's a little bit bigger, the crossguard's bigger, and then the blade itself's bigger. Same thing with the Black Series, a little bit smaller all the way around. But you can see from the lengths, just not enough to really worry about. At least in my book, it's not enough for me to worry about. And then he comes with the melted mask of Darth Vader. It's a good sculpt. It's easily identifiable as what it's supposed to be. A little bit soft, a little bit lumpy, and a little bit small. If you compare it to the Hasbro version, I like the size of the Hasbro Vader a lot more. Plus the Hasbro Vader has a silver dry brush on top of it. Brings out the detail. Just really looks nice overall. I don't hate the MAFEX one, but if I were to display one, it'd probably be the Hasbro. And then finally, the unmasked Kylo Ren head. I want to like this. I really do. And it's a good effort, really. But when it comes down to it, it doesn't look like the promotional picture. On the promotional picture, the paints, you can see that there's some subtle edging to it, which makes sense. It's a hand-painted prototype. Get to the factory, and it's pretty much factory paint. The eyebrows are a little bit big and just black lines on his head. The skin tone, slightly orange, but not as bad as what we've seen in the past. And then the hair is just a straight black color. But really, it's a nice sculpt. I think with a repaint, it'd look really, really good. But even then, the head itself is a little bit smooth. This is kind of the anime version of Kylo Ren. Comparing it to the Black Series unmasked head, I kind of like the Black Series a little bit more, but I like the size of the MAFEX better. Both of them will probably get repainted at some point just to see what happens, but until that day, I kind of like the MAFEX better, even though it's far from perfect. And to switch out the head, whenever you pull the masked head off, at least in my case, the neck always comes off. It's unavoidable. But I put Kylo Ren's head on, and it's looser. But once you have it on there, pretty nice. It does look good. It looks a little bit small though. The moral of this story is I'm never happy, and half the time I don't know what I'm talking about. Here he is compared to the model kit Kylo Ren. This is pretty much my main display Kylo Ren. I like how the hood lays, and as you can see, the MAFEX is bigger. Spoiler alert, he's bigger than all of them, but I kind of like the size a little bit better. I like the height on him. Here he is with the Black Series Kylo Ren. Almost the same size, but you can see a little bit head size difference. That's kind of odd, but it works. I like the bigger helmet. It looks like it's actually a head inside the helmet. And then here he is with the SH Figure Arts Kylo Ren. Knew that there was going to be a scale discrepancy here. Figure Arts runs a little low. MAFEX runs wherever the hell it wants to most of the time. And then for giggles, here he is with the Black Series Rey. Yes, tall, but once you have it in an action scene, or if you have him with the troopers, it does look a little bit better. So at the end of the day, not a perfect figure. Not perfect at all, but something makes me like it. I keep trying to promote him to main shelf status, even though there's things that piss me off. The wire in the hood, the more I've messed with it, the more it's kind of come out and trying to unravel itself from inside the hood. I keep pushing it back, but it automatically just pops right back out. I don't know what I'm going to do there, but I'm going to fix it because I like how the wire behaves for this figure. I don't like the thickness of the robe. It's not the thickness, it's the bagginess. It just makes him look fat. Or his parents bought him clothes for next year and he's already wearing them because he tore up his old clothes. He was riding his bike, he fell off, he tore them all up. He didn't want to be embarrassed at school, so he's wearing next year's clothes. I guess that's the two things that really get my goat. The bagginess, that wire, and I guess with the scarf and the robe and that all together, there's just a lot of shit on him. That's what it comes down to. You're trying to kick him into a pose, and you gotta fiddle with the robe, you gotta fiddle with the belt, you gotta fiddle with the hood, you gotta bring the scarf back around. The scarf rode up, it messed up the hood, knocked the head out of place, knocked the shoulders down, the arms are out of alignment now. You gotta come back around, kick the leg up. To get a good pose out of this figure, you have to work at it. And I'm not talking Reveltech work at it, where you can see everything. Everything's hidden, everything's out of sight, but I like it. Is that weird? I feel like I'm not conveying my whole thought process on this figure. I like it, but it's a huge pain in the ass. But I really do feel like I like this figure. It just needs some work. So, kind of long-winded, kind of indecisive. It probably doesn't help you at all. Yeah, there you go. There's my review. I like it, but I hate it. But I really like it. But it kind of sucks. It's frustrating, but it's okay. It's going on the main shelf, but man, pain in my ass. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.